Meteorologist Josh Johns.
Welcome back, everyone. So we had some rain recently, of course, which kind of helped out our lakes, right, Josh?
Yeah, you know, we really had a pretty good increase. Although it's not super substantial, it's still any sort of increase in the lakes are good. And we finally went back and compiled the numbers. And the reason these aren't super high is because the runoff comes in, it raises it real quick, but then it just continues on down the river. So this is kind of more of, after this event, what we can overall say about our lake increases. Twin Buttes went up 0.7%, Fisher 0.2%. All of our reservoirs total as a basin went up close to 1%, and then Ivy climbed 1%. Now, I'm giving you the percentages instead of the foot because that kind of makes more sense on how much the reservoirs went up to where their percents are. Still, we need rain, even though we got a pretty good increase. And the good news is we have a little bit on the way. At least we get to enjoy some nice days first. 83 was our high today. Pretty nice. We should be at 89 this time of year. Our low this morning was a crisp 59. Should be at 65. Record of 104 and 52. And the sunset continuing to get a little bit shorter, coming back a little bit earlier now as we go into fall. We're going to have a nice work week weather-wise. We're tracking Florence, watching the Gulf too, because what's out in the Gulf may bring us some weekend rain chances. More on that in a bit. First, check out these temperatures because it's nice outside. Upper 60, 68 in Barnhart, 69 in Merton, 68 currently in Menard, 70 in San Angelo, and 71 in Robert Lee. You're going to wake up with a morning much like this morning, not as cool, but still kind of a muggy morning, kind of a crisp morning as you wake up with those temperatures going down pretty much to where the dew points are, currently in the mid-60s. That means a little bit of patchy fog may form in low-lying areas, talking about where the rain was heavier this weekend. So down in the hill country, could be dealing with some fog as you're driving to work or school in the morning. Nothing on the live radar network right now. Any sort of rain has been off into southeast Texas. Some good showers and thunderstorms going off around San Antonio again, also towards Houston. That's because that's where that stationary front was. Remember, that stationary front helped to bring us a lot of rain last week, of course, bringing that heavy rain that we dealt with. Meanwhile, the big eyes are on the tropics, and that's because we have three systems out there currently: Florence, Isaac, and Helene. We're also watching an area in the Gulf. More on that in a little bit, but first, I want to show you Florence, because Florence, it's not a huge storm, but it's enough to where if you put it over Texas, it would cover a large portion of central Texas, and is covering up what would be the size of some states in the U.S. A pretty substantial storm. Right now, Category 4 Florence is, with winds at 140 miles per hour, located 355 miles southwest of Bermuda. It's trucking off to the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. That's why hurricane warnings and watches currently affect for the Carolinas. It'll arrive Thursday or Friday there as a Category 3 or 4 storm very near Wilmington, Carolina right now is the official forecast. Notice the cone of uncertainty goes all the way out to South Carolina and Virginia, though, or northern North Carolina. That means that storm could take a turn. We're watching that with the models. Meanwhile, I told you about that system in the Gulf. That's the other system we're watching, and here it is over towards Cuba, over towards the Yucatan Peninsula. It's kind of fluctuating. It's encountering some shear, which is why it hasn't really turned into a storm yet. But you can see it's starting to swirl a little bit. That system has a 50% chance of turning into a tropical system in the next 48 hours and a 70% chance in the next 5 days. Regardless of if it turns into a system or not, it's going to bring tons of moisture to the Gulf Coast. Here's Florence right here. Look at all the tropical moisture that's coming into the Gulf Coast. That's going to bring them some pretty good rain chances, potentially some flooding rains from Brownsville to Houston. Here in the Concho Valley, it'll send a lot of moisture our way as we go into the weekend. That's why we're going to bring back those daily rain chances. I'm not expecting a washout, and I'm not expecting it to really impact our high school football yet. We'll keep an eye on it, but very well could bring those 30 to 40% chances back as we go into the weekend and into next week. Tonight, down to 62, partly cloudy. Will be a brisk morning with winds out of the northeast at 0 to 2 miles per hour. For your Wednesday, I'm calling for a high of 85. Mostly sunny and a nice day. East-northeast winds hanging around at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And as you take a look at that extended forecast, we're going to see those temperatures hanging around the mid-80s. As we go into Friday, the clouds start to increase, and then Saturday and Sunday is our chance for some of those tropical downpours, and especially if you live south of San Angelo down towards Menard, Junction, Ozona, you could get in on some pretty heavy rain as we go into Saturday and Sunday, if the models turn out right. Of course, we'll keep an eye on it for you. And then dry air working in for next week, and those temperatures going down to the low 90s. But could have another shot at some rain. Good news for the lakes.
Yeah.
Maybe not so good news for some of those that dealt with flooding, but we'll weather it through, and of course, we'll keep you posted.
All right, I wouldn't mind some more rain, is that
Not at all.
All right, thanks, Josh. And coming up next on KSAN News at 10, food from all over